Noontime here on Thursday. It's the Chatham NC Sports Roundup. I'm Gene Galin with the Chatham Journal, and we got Asheebo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record. A reminder, the newspaper now comes out on Thursday, so the stuff we're talking about, you can pick up in a hard copy today, and I know that people are picking it up, and I know folks from Seaford are going to be picking it up because we've got some news on the Seaford girls soccer team. But anyway, we're going to start this off. Asheebo's going to come out and talk on the Chatham News and Record newspaper, what he's got in there, some of last week's scores and results. The Seaford girls soccer team, of course, is the 2A state champions. They won that game on Saturday. Also, everyone's favorite, the athlete of the week. We're also coming up next week, top 10 Chatham High School sports stories. And I don't know, I don't think I'm doing anything over the next 7 days, but Asheebo's probably got lots of stuff he's doing, including American Legion games. So let me get this screen off and get ready to kick it off with Asheebo. Let me do this.
Yeah.
All right, Asheebo, it is all yours.
Yep. So as far as stories in the paper coming out this week, of course, we'll have our state championship stories from Seaforth winning the 2A state title over Pine Lake Prep and PK 6-5. And then we'll have Woods Charter's loss to Christ the King for the third straight year in a row, 5-0 in the 1A state title. So those two stories will be out. We'll also have a list of our all-conference athletes that includes players and coaches of the year that have come out after the end of the spring sports season. And then a story from the Chatham County American Legion team's home opener from last week. They lost to Hamlet in that one 11-3. But highlighted that one was Solid City Mayor Donald Matthews throwing out the first pitch. And there was a lot of fans out there, supporting the local American Legion team. But, we'll also have some updates with the American Legion team and the softball team in the Heroes League throughout the summer as those two teams play on with some of our high school athletes that we, followed throughout the whole year playing together on one team with some other athletes from around the area. And then also to our last story that we'll have in the paper is Giancarlo Aguilar, the kicker from Jordan Matthews' football team that played soccer on the boys' soccer team for 4 years. Just started playing football in the middle of the football season this past fall when he, just kind of talking with the AD Barry West there about, I think it was talking about banners. He saw the football helmet. Then he got interested in football, got into kicking, was very successful at it from the jump. And now he's got a scholarship to do it on the Division II level in college at Shaw University. So congrats to Giancarlo Aguilar, and we have a story on that coming out in the paper. And then, we can go into Gene, you want to talk about the state championships from last week with Seaforth and the Woods Charter?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that before we get into that, you mentioned the fact that a JM kicker was a soccer player who got a scholarship, a football scholarship. What's going on with football? Because you and I and Coach Hall and AD at Seaforth, Mr. Worley, were talking about the fact that there isn't middle school football here in the county and how that kind of doesn't help the high school game here in Chatham County. But there is some stuff going on at Jordan Matthews. What is going on over there with football?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as I know, I know Coach Carter. He's still trying to he's still trying to build that program back up, get the numbers back up for the football team. And a lot of ways he's doing that is going down into the middle school, elementary school levels, and giving them an opportunity to work out. I've seen it on the videos that Jordan Matthews has posted on Twitter that they got the kids doing football drills during the day, just to kind of introduce them to the game and get them prepared for the high school level if that's something they want to do. And yeah, like I said, start once we get done with all this spring sports stuff, as it's winding down here, I want to get into looking more into the youth football problem in Chatham County, as far as why there's not any youth football for the middle school kids. I know we have the Solid City youth football program and East Chatham, both in the county. And East Chatham, of course, is still going strong. But, of course, not every kid can play at East Chatham if they're interested in playing, because they also have roster limits, I understand. So, but, yeah, that's as far as I know, that's all I know with Jordan Matthews. I haven't talked to Coach Carter in a while since couple months ago about his plans for football. But this summer definitely we're going to talk to a lot of the coaches and get more of a feel before the season starts this summer before they get started in August.
Now, you played in high school football. Did you play in middle school, or was the county you grew up in just high school?
No, the county I grew up in was actually very, very involved in youth football. We had the Gwinnett County Football League. Started from age 6. So I started at age 6 and it went all the way up to 8th grade. And we played with our community teams, the same kids, same coaches, pretty much all those years that we carried into high school. And I would say, just from my experience, it really prepared us for high school level because our high school coaches were able to connect with us 7th, 8th grade. We already knew their names. We're already working out at the high schools and kind of got prepared for that level of football. So I think, like just from my experience growing up and playing middle school football and elementary school football, it really helps in developing your skills and getting prepared physically and mentally for the high school level.
Now, you also have mentioned to me, and I'm going to go public with this, that you were good enough that you were considering playing football in college.
Yes, I did. I did actually really considered playing right back up here in North Carolina at Guilford and Greensboro. I know some of our athletes here in Chatham County are actually getting ready to go over there to play sports as well. So, I did think about playing in college. So, yeah.
Yes, but he went ahead and decided, hey, I'm going to UNC and I'm going to become a journalist. So we're lucky here in Chatham County that Asheebo opted to do that versus going over to Guilford College. All right. We finished up with football. Yeah, let's talk about soccer. Both you and I and PJ showed up for the second game. Let's talk about Woods Charter. Let's talk about Seaforth. One had a happy ending. One had a sad ending. So let's go into it. Go.
Yeah, I want to start with Woods. I mean, just they have a really great season. They dominated the Central Tar Heel Conference, and then they pretty much took care of business in the playoffs as well. Even though they had dealt with some players having to be out during the playoff run, but they had everyone, I think, except one player back for the state championship game. But the team they played, Christ the King, they had a freshman that was just really good that attacked them early on. She scored, I think, 3 goals in the span of 6 minutes. There early in the first half, and it was just really hard for them to kind of regroup and get back into that game. Just a really, like I said, a really good team they went up against. Unfortunately, for the third straight year, and in my story, I talk about how it wasn't the same team because they did have a lot of new faces. I think that Christ the King lost 11 seniors after last year, so a lot of new faces for them, and they still came out with a really strong attack, strong core of girls that were really deserving of the state title. And Woods Charter, hats off to them. 3 straight title appearances is really good, for that senior class. And we saw Coach Stewart talking to Layla Nerona at the end of that game, and I think Coach Stewart, his approach to it is just wasn't meant to be. And the girls shouldn't hold their heads down after that game, especially just the way it was, 3 straight times to the same team. You think you guys could finally get over the hump and get it done, but for Woods, I think they will lose a good bit of seniors. I think 10 of them they'll be losing this year, so they'll have kind of be in the same boat as Christ the King was last year. Kind of bringing in a lot of new faces. But Coach Stewart, he's pretty optimistic about what he has coming up from the middle school level and what he has coming back already on his Woods Charter team. But they will be tough to replace the players like Layla and some of their other seniors. I think Sienna too. But like I said, you saw it. They just went up against a really good team in the state championship game.
Yeah, Layla was. She was especially disappointed. It's the third year in a row, and when they had the post game team huddle, she was. And I got a picture of Coach Stewart just sitting there talking with her on the field after the game. Coach Stewart didn't dwell into it, but I've heard and covered enough state championship games to know that some of the coaches who coach public schools, whether they're public charter schools or regular public schools, they kind of sometimes find it hard to compete They will also tell you off the record that they think it may not be the best arrangement because Christ the King, being a private school, actively recruits folks. Now, Woods will have they do have a pretty good middle school program, and people like playing for teams that have had success. And the other thing Coach Stewart actually did say in his post game interview with you is he mentioned the fact that Woods has 158 high school students out of all the 520 students that Woods has, versus I think Christ the King is about 400 or 500 students just for the entire high school portion of it. So yeah, Woods got beat up. I got there a little late, and by the time I got there, they were already down 3-0 with only 14 minutes into the game. Um, and it was difficult, but they didn't give up, and Coach Stewart kept on coaching. The other thing too is it's a full size field, so I think Woods is used to playing on narrower fields, and this was definitely a wider thing because I think that's also something the Seaford coach had noticed as well, that was a wider field and you have to play that game differently. But look, Woods has been in the championship game 3 years. They also Woods community came out. Their side of the stadium was definitely full. They were cheering him out. Coach had mentioned the fact that he appreciated all the fans being out there. Principal Brian Cotton was out there as well. Cotton Brian, I get those mixed up. It's one of those. Cotton Brian or Brian Cotton was there as well. So they were cheering on their team, and good effort. That's all I've got on Woods. I know it's tough, but I think when they look at this for years from now, there's not many schools that get to go to a championship game 3 years in a row. So
Yeah, like you said, and they didn't give up in that game. I think they did actually settle down after those 3 goals. They got their opportunities to kind of bring get closer and bring that deficit down, but they just couldn't convert on those shots, and unfortunately, it just kind of built on as the game went. Morale went down, but like you said, really good team they went up against, and they should be proud of themselves just for that accomplishment, going to 3 straight state championships, pretty much dominating the 1A East region. I mean, for most of their time there at Woods for that senior class. So hats off to them.
let me ask you this question: on both games, do you feel that they were both physical, a little bit more physical than some regular season games?
Yes, I would say that I think the referees really let them play. Yeah, in the state championship games, especially the 2 we went to. Girls hitting the ground, slide, little some tackles, pushes that they were getting away with. You can hear it in the crowd. They were saying call it both ways, and I would say the refs were letting them play both ways. So, and it did make for some really good soccer. We got really good games the whole day. I think after the Woods game, no one scored a goal for the rest of the day. Well, in regulation at least, because I think
that second game went into overtime as well.
So, too, yeah. So, yeah, we got some really, really low scoring, tough, physical soccer the whole day. And then that Seaforth one, I guess we can go ahead and start talking about that one. I mean, that was I remember Coach Viana was just mentioning to me after the game. He was like, I knew we were going to win coming into this one, but he didn't expect the way it happened. I mean, Seaforth pretty much ran through the entire 1A East region in the playoffs. They haven't allowed before that game. They didn't allow a goal until since April 16th, I think. So you're talking about way over 15, 16 games that they just completely dominated their opponents. And in this one, I feel like Pine Lake Prep kind of took it to them a little bit more, especially in regulation, especially that first half, because Katie Leonard, I mean, she was getting so many shots thrown at her because they really pretty much kept possession on their side for the most of that half. And Katie, I mean, she just saved everything, literally everything that came in her reach. She knocked it up. She grabbed it before it went into the goal. She laid out. I mean, even some close ones that were close range where she was 1-on-1. I mean, she was just shutting it down at like a wall in the net. So she, of course, by far the most important player for Seaforth, I feel like, in that game. And of course, she even came up big at the end and made a PK herself at the end. So that one was just really just came down to who wanted to make the extra effort more in that game, and of course PKs who was willing to step up. And
I think you call Katie Spider Woman, and I think Coach called her Superwoman because you're right. I mean, she was catching everything. I think I got a picture, and I think PJ also got the picture where was it Lake Pine had one of their kickers had taken a shot at the goal, and she's doing this with her hands in her face in her hands because you could see that Katie was going to get to that ball, and that ball was not going to score. So, and I think the coach had mentioned when you were talking to him after the game, the fact that she probably had more shots come at her that the defensive line wasn't able to get to than in most games.
Yeah,
she did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, even in these playoffs, the first 1 or 2 rounds, I mean, if you watch them, Katie pretty much is just standing the whole game because Seaford really just dominated. Like I said, they would keep the ball on their end, and defensively, they just wouldn't allow teams to really kind of penetrate them and get to the goal to get an opportunity to score. So to see that, I think you saw a little bit of that in the round before against Clinton. And of course against Franklin Academy too. And that was the one that Coach Beyond was talking about with the smaller field. You know, it allowed. I mean, it kind of hurt Seaford because they weren't allowed to kick the ball far and down the field because you kick it any harder, it's going to go right out of bounds with that on that field. So, Katie, for her to not see a game like that for a while, I feel like, and then to perform like that, you know, in the state championship game where everything's getting thrown at her, I think that's really huge. And I think one of the high school OT guys went on Twitter and said, you know, we should start talking about her as one of the best female athletes in the state of North Carolina because we also know what she can do on the basketball court as well. So, yeah, hats off to Katie Leonard for, you know, a stellar performance. Just a sophomore, now going to be a junior. So we'll get 2 more years of her here should she stay in Chatham County.
Well, let's talk about the winning PK kicker because the winning PK kicker is only a freshman. And you were talking about, Woods is losing 10 folks, 10 seniors. Seaforth, I think you mentioned, is only losing 1. So, yeah, let's talk about Lizzie and the fact she just – yeah, tell people about when you asked her about because she wasn't supposed to go up for that kick initially, was she?
No, she said somebody else was supposed to go, but they got a little nervous. The moment probably got to him, and Lizzie, a freshman, she said she stepped up, just went up there, and it really remarkable because when she made the goal, if you watch the video, it kind of took her a second to realize, oh, this goal just won us the state championship. Like she kind of stood there for a second, and everybody else is already running towards the middle to tackle her and pile on top of her to celebrate. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really remarkable that a freshman that just decided to step up, made that play, win the game. I think that gives that team a whole lot of confidence going into next season. And Giovanni was already saying it. You know, they're repeating it's on their minds already. Like they really want to go back and do this again because, like I said, they're bringing everyone back except Sam Tucker, who was a big piece for them that they'll have to fill in, especially on the defensive end. But I think with Sophia and Caitlin coming back, Katie's still in the net, and now those freshmen that got a whole year of experience of playing high-level soccer, winning a state championship. I mean, now they have that confidence to come back and build on top of that. I think there's a really strong case for them to do that again.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, the interesting thing is the thing is where the players were standing before they went to the shot, they were standing at midfield and they had to walk to the point where they're going to take that PK. And we asked Lizzie about it. She's kind of like, yeah, I knew what I had to do and I just went up and did it. I mean, she didn't seem to think about it because that walk really seemed to be a long walk between the point where you left and to the point you got kicked. And she's like, yeah, I just did what I needed to do. The other thing you had asked, I think, Coach, you had asked them, both of us agree, and the coach agreed, they started off flat in the first half, but he got them going in the second half. So what's your overall feel? And I think we asked him about what he did, and he basically kind of said, "Hey, just do the stuff that we've been doing all season long."
Yeah, if you listen to him on the sideline, the biggest thing he was saying was to move around, and I noticed that too. I mean, C4, they just kind of they just weren't playing, with as much energy, as much movement as they usually did, especially on offense. It was kind of like every time they got the ball, of course, Pine Lake Prep was giving them like really good on ball pressure. So they were really making it hard for Seaford. But all season they really haven't had to deal with that as far as providing extra help when someone gets the ball and needing to have extra bodies around to help kind of move the offense around, because usually we see Seaford, they get it in the middle and then they got people running on each side and they push it down the field and they're just fast. But Pine Lake Prep was just as fast as C4 as we saw in that game. And I mean, both teams just really just kept up with each other defensively and with speed, and kind of felt like a stalemate, especially there in the second half when girls are starting to get tired. The game started to feel long. Like you said, it was a full-size field. I mean, I think what really helped C4, like you said, I mean, what helped them settle down, especially the later in the half, was moving the ball a little bit more. I mean, moving around a little bit more without the ball and getting open and helping their teammates, because they did get their opportunities there in the middle of the second half and in the second half as well to score, but they just weren't falling there during the regulation, of course. So yeah, I think that's what Coach Biana was saying. Like you said, they just wanted to stick to what they knew, and not try anything too crazy there in the state championship, because they didn't really need to. I think with Katie and the defense playing as well as they did, making those plays that they did, I think it just was a matter of time before they could break it open, and maybe they just had like how it played out. They just had to keep playing on until it got PKs and win it there.
Yeah, I think I noticed in that first timeout after the game was over, going into overtime, there was that 5-minute timeout, and they had a formal huddle, and of course the captains went over to do the coin flip, and the ref went over what was going to happen in overtime, but all the way to the PK portion of it, the penalty kicks. I didn't notice any kind of formal huddles. It was pretty much the coach just walking around, talking to individual girls, just letting them know what they needed to do. And he was telling them pretty much to do what they've been doing all season. And I don't know about you, but I felt like he was comfortable with where they were. They just needed to execute and get it done. There was no need to have a huge formal huddle and rah-rah kind of thing. It's kind of like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I noticed the coach's wife was making sure that everybody was staying hydrated, because it was a fairly warm and humid day that day. So they seem to know what they need to do to win, and they executed. So that's all I got to say about it. Anything else about that C4 game?
Just so congratulations to C4. I know Coach Amy, AD at C4, Jason Amy is happy. He gets to go out with a bang. And this time as a C4 AD, as a state champion, and of course they'll get the Wells Fargo Cup next week as well. So, it's just a great end to the spring sports season here in Chatham County to have that end with a state title.
All right, and and anyone can tell Coach Amy I said that he is such a homer. I mean, he was jumping around and yelling louder than any of the players after they won that, as if he had won that. And I've seen him do that before when he was the AD at Northwood, and they had won one of their tournament games at it was a last second shot, and he's just like hollering, and also Officer Stubbs happened to be there, and he's running around hollering. And I'm like, guys, it's the girls' time. So, but you know what, Coach Amy, he's moving on. He's not going to be the AD anymore. So I'll let him know that. But he is. Hey, Coach Amy, you're like one of the biggest homers out there, but we all love you because of that. So, that's all I've got to say. Are we ready for Athlete of the Week?
Oh yeah, Athlete of the Week. This week again, I kind of had to choose her again this week just because she played so well in the state championship game. It's Katie Leonard, the goalkeeper from Seaford. And we already said enough about Katie today. I mean, she just was a wall in the net in that game, kept them alive. She had stop the ones even from close range, and then even put in a penalty kick herself in the final moments of the game to help them win, and did her job at the PKs with the PKs in the net to kind of keep Pine Lake Prep out the goal, give Seaford the advantage there, setting up Lizzie Platt for the win. She was named the 2A state championship game MVP after the game. Well deserved for that. So, yeah, Katie Leonard, once again, absolutely week here in Chatham County to end the spring sports season. And hats off on a great year for her and the Seaford, like we said, the Seaford Hawks girls soccer team.
Yeah, the other thing I was just going to add, I saw Coach Armstrong there from a wrestling team. I saw some of the wrestlers and some of the student athletes from other sports out there supporting the Seaford girls soccer team. So that was nice to see. All right, folks, let me also pop this up real quick. For Asheebo, you've got to follow him on X. It's Asheebo R38 after games. He will post videos on that. I know the students appreciate, their parents and fans appreciate that, so stay with them. Now, school year is coming to a close. I think Northwood's actually having their graduation tonight at 7 o'clock. I think they're holding that inside because it's supposed to rain, but we're going to go into the post-high school season. Things are going to slow down from a high school perspective, so we've got to figure out what we're going to do. I think we'll continue to do the live stream. We may not do it every week. However, for next week, the game plan is you folks have loved the power rankings that Asheebo's been doing. For next week, we're going to go with the top 10 Chatham County high school sports stories. Asheebo's going to come up with his 10. Look, his 10 are going to be better than my 10. I'll come up with some 10 as well, and we'll compare. If you like, in the bottom, if you're watching this on Facebook or you're watching this anywhere else on Twitter, go ahead and make a comment as to who you think should be among the top 10 high school stories for this past year, and we'll touch on that next week. Question always comes up towards the end of these is, what are we going to do over the next 7 days? I don't have any plans for anything high school-wise, sports-wise for the next 7 days. Asheebo, you're doing American League baseball, is that right?
Yes, American Legion baseball, and we got a Heroes League softball team for the first time this year. I was just out there last night. If you guys saw it on Twitter, with the Chatham team beating Southway 10-7. So yeah, we'll have those. I think American Legion goes through the end of June, and Heroes League I think goes into July as well. So we still have some games to cover during the summer.
Right. So yes, we will. We're definitely going to take off the week of the July 4th. But look, we'll figure it out, folks. I do want to thank folks for watching us. We've got over 500 views. I think the most we ever got was 1,000 during basketball season. But we consistently have good viewership and we get good feedback. We actually did a live stream, a quick 5-second live stream from the soccer stadium with PJ and Coach Giovanni's wife as well. So look, if you want something a little bit extra, definitely follow Asheebo on Twitter at AsheeboR38, and we'll be back. We may also start doing these on Thursday. Asheebo and I haven't figured this out because the paper now comes out on Thursday, and Asheebo may be too busy finishing things up on Wednesday. But we will let you know. As always, thanks, everybody. If you see Asheebo out there during the summertime, give him a shout out. Asheebo, I did want to finish up. You did mention yesterday one of the folks you worked with down at the Charlotte Post had passed away just recently. Could you give us a little bit more on that?
Yeah, Bob Johnson, I think he was the co-publisher and helped deal with some of the distribution at the Charlotte Post. He passed away yesterday at the age of 84. And I knew Bob for the one summer I was working with Herb White, editor of the Charlotte Post, and the Charlotte Post family. They brought me in one summer and really helped kind of advance my journalism career and helped me get better as a writer and as a journalist that summer. And Bob was always, a positive soul in the office. He'd always check in on you, tell you how you're doing. First thing you do when you walk in and sit down, and always had great conversations with Bob. And yeah, just of course, definitely a soul we're going to miss. And my prayers, thoughts are with the Charlotte Post family and his family, and then the publisher of the paper, Gerald Johnson, today. So, like I said, great person, great people at the Charlotte Post, and he would truly be missed.
All right. Yeah, it's good to acknowledge the folks that have been in the industry for a while and help others move along. Because as you folks here in Chatham County have seen, Asheebo's been doing a great job this year, and I hope he stays around for a few more years. All right, folks, thank you very much. Asheebo, you got anything else to say?
Nope, I think we got everything covered this week. And
All
also,
right.
too, you can check the paper for all state athletes will be coming out next week as well.
All right. So definitely pick up the paper this week and pick it up next week. You Seaford fans, get a paper, and you can get more than one. We actually found out from somebody at the soccer game on Saturday that they actually pick up 3 papers because they get one for themselves, they get one for their favorite player, and then they get one that they give to the grandparents. So you can pick up more than one copy. All right, everybody, take it easy.